to SR Concepts. I am Ravi Verma. This is the part 4th of the chapter number 6 from your NCERT textbook of science. The title of the chapter is Tissue, and this is the second chapter of biology for class 9th. Dear students, in the previous parts we have discussed all the plant tissues, and in this video we are going to cover the animal tissues. We are going to start the animal tissues. So let's proceed on to it. Animal tissues, on the basis of their functions, are categorized or divided into 4 categories: epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues, and nervous tissues. Let's talk about epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues are those which make either covering or lining of different parts of the body. Suppose this is the stomach. Right? So the stomach should have 2 different coverings. Look, this is the empty space. This is called cavity of the stomach. This will be called cavity of the stomach, or lumen of the stomach, you can say. Right? So this covering is made up of epithelium, and this is called a lining. So this is covering and this is the lining. So please listen carefully what I am saying, that covering and lining both are made up of epithelial tissues. So epithelial tissue is that tissue which makes coverings of the organs or linings of the organs or structures in our body. So what is the function? Then the function of the epithelium becomes: epithelium covers most of the organs and cavities within the body. It also forms a barrier to keep different body systems separate. So different organs, different structures, different systems are separated from each other by the help of epithelial tissue. The examples are skin, lining of mouth, lining of blood vessel, lung alveoli, kidney tubules. These all are made up of epithelial tissues. Okay. Some important structural features of epithelial tissues are these: that epithelial tissue cells are tightly packed. So they make a continuous sheet, and because of this they have very little or almost no intercellular space between them. They have actually no intercellular space between them, and because of this the cementing material between the cells is also very less. A very small amount of cementing material is present between the cells. Whenever something is entering into the body or exiting the body, it has to cross at least one layer of epithelium. For example, if we talk about we talk about lungs, then there are small balloon-like structures known as alveoli. Right? In alveoli, air comes around the alveoli. There are blood vessels. Suppose this one is the blood vessel. Right? So when the air comes into the alveoli, oxygen crosses the wall of the alveoli and then wall of the blood vessel and enters into the blood, while carbon dioxide leaves the blood, crosses the wall of the blood vessel and then the wall of the alveoli and enters into the alveoli. So carbon dioxide moves from alveoli to blood vessel, and oxygen moves from alveoli to blood vessel, and carbon dioxide moves from blood vessel to alveoli. During this process it crosses 2 types of epithelium. Right? One epithelia is of alveolar wall and another epithelia is of blood vessel. So dear students, this is how we understand that whenever something enters or exits the body, it has to pass at least one epithelial layer. Now, different epithelial tissues have different permeabilities, and this permeability helps in regulating the exchange of materials or transport of materials across them. Okay, one important structural feature is that regardless of the type, all epithelia are usually separated from the underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. So dear students, every epithelial tissue lies on a basement membrane, which is an extracellular matrix. Okay, so there are different types of epithelial tissues. One is squamous epithelium, which may be of 2 types, simple and stratified. Other is columnar epithelium, which may be ciliated columnar also. Then is cuboidal, and then is glandular epithelium. Let's talk about the squamous epithelium. Squamous term indicates the shape of the cell. the shape of the squamous cells is extremely thin and flat. So in squamous epithelium, the cells are extremely thin and flat as shown in this figure. Here in this figure you can see that the cells are very thin and flat. Here you can see this lower matrix. This matrix is the basement membrane. Here you can see that the epithelial cell layer lies on a basement membrane. Now the cells squamous cells making squamous epithelium may be arranged in either in a single layer or in multiple layers. So depending on this, there are two types of squamous epithelia. One is simple squamous epithelium, another is stratified squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium, in this is a single layer of epithelial cells, means it is just one cell thick. So whenever squamous epithelium has just one layer of cells, then it is called simple squamous epithelium. Right, where is the location? So the simple squamous epithelium is found in lining of blood vessels and lining of lung alveoli. So the example that I have given, lung alveoli and blood vessel, in both of them there is a single layer of squamous epithelium that is called simple squamous epithelium. Now there it functions as a selectively permeable surface for transportation of substances, for exchange of substances. Now if we talk about stratified squamous epithelium, stratified means multiple layers of epithelium. If squamous epithelium is multi-layered, then it is called stratified squamous epithelium, and then its function is not the transport of material, but its function is to provide mechanical support and strength to the structure. Right, so here what is written in this epithelium, epithelial cells are arranged in many layers to prevent wear and tear. Since they are arranged in pattern of layers, they are called stratified squamous epithelium. Let's talk about location. If we talk about esophagus, that is food pipe, and mouth, in both of them the lining is made up of multi-layered stratified squamous epithelium. Skin, that is highly protective and strong covering of the body, skin is also made up of stratified squamous epithelium. The stratified epithelium is also called compound epithelium. So whenever epithelium is multi-layered, it is called compound epithelium. Now let's discuss about the structure. Here you can see this one is the simple squamous epithelium, and this is the stratified squamous epithelium having multiple layers. Important thing is that the study of tissue is known as histology, and squamous epithelium is also called pavement membrane. In all of these figures you can see the green colored basement membrane on which the epithelium lies. Okay, now let's talk about columnar epithelium. The shape of the cells is column like. Here you can see pillar like cells are there, right? So that's why it is called columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium is found in the inner lining of the intestine, right? Suppose this is the intestine, right? So here towards inside, inner lining of the intestine will be made up of columnar epithelium, and here it performs two functions. One is the absorption of food, and the other is secretion of enzymes, digestive enzymes. So columnar epithelium performs absorption of digested food and secretion of digestive enzymes. So wherever columnar epithelium is present, its function is absorption and secretion, means release, right? At some places it is ciliated, means sometimes columnar epithelium may have small brush-like structures known as cilia, brush-like structures or bristle-like structures known as cilia. It is found in respiratory tract. Respiratory tract is that tract through which air passes into the lungs. So it starts with the nostril and ends into the lungs. This includes nostril, nasal chamber, pharynx, and our windpipe, that is called trachea. Okay, so dear students, in trachea the epithelium is ciliated columnar epithelium. The ciliated epithelium tissue also has cilia, which are hair-like projections on the outer surfaces of the epithelial cells. Here you can see these are the cilia. These cilia can move, and their movement pushes the mucus forward to clear it. This type of epithelium is thus called ciliated columnar epithelium. So dear students, these cilia help in removing mucus from the lungs. Sometimes when the lungs are infected, then there may be some bacteria or a virus. To kill these virus, mucus is released inside the alveoli, right? But that liquid must be removed from the body, from the lungs, right? So these cilia move upwards throughout the trachea, throughout the respiratory tract, and they move the move mucus outside. So in this way, suppose this is the mucus, here is the mucus, right? And this mucus moves upwards, and this is why you feel sputum while you are infected with common cold or you have some respiratory infections. So that's why that sputum is actually a form of mucus. Okay, so the location of columnar epithelium is the lungs, is the respiratory tract actually. Okay, now if we here again the same picture is given. Here you can see column like cells are there. Okay, let's talk about cuboidal epithelium. The cuboidal epithelium, the shape of the cells is cube like, here you can see, and they are resting at a basement membrane. This one is the basement membrane, and this is the connective tissue below it. Okay, let's talk about the storage, location and function. It forms the lining of kidney tubules and duct of salivary glands. So dear students, the kidney is made up of a large number of tubules known as nephrons. So the lining or internal wall of the kidney tubules is made up of cuboidal epithelium. In the same way, we know that there are salivary glands in our buccal cavity, right? The salivary glands make saliva and release their fluid into our mouth by the help of some ducts. Ducts means tubes. So these ducts of the salivary glands also have cuboidal epithelium in their internal lining. Okay, so the cuboidal epithelium provides mechanical support, and also it performs secretion and absorption of materials in certain locations. So cuboidal epithelium is found in other locations also, and there it performs the function of secretion and absorption, exactly like columnar epithelium. Okay, so now let's discuss about glandular epithelium. So dear students, you know, in our body a large number of glands are found, right? These all glands are made up of epithelial tissues. So then such a epithelium is called glandular epithelium. So sometimes the epithelial cells may become specialized to become a gland to release certain substances on their surfaces, right? So sometimes some epithelial cells are releasing certain substances on their surfaces, then such epithelial cells are called glandular epithelial cells, right? Sometimes there are multiple glandular epithelial cells which make a whole gland. This is called glandular epithelium, right? So here you can see this is actually the internal lining that is columnar epithelium inside the stomach or inside the intestine, right? But here you can see in between these there are certain goblet cells. These are the glandular epithelial cells because each cell works as a gland and releases mucus. So in our stomach and in our intestine, we know that columnar epithelium is found, but between the columnar cells there are many goblet cells which are actually glandular epithelial cells. These goblet cells release mucus, right? In the same way, there are many glands also. For example, in stomach there are certain glands known as gastric glands. There is pancreas, right, which has pancreatic tubules which act as glands, and there are intestinal glands also. All of these are made up of glandular epithelium. So thank you for watching the video, and please like and subscribe to the channel, right? And you may share the video to your friends if they want to learn the things properly, right? Thank you so much.